Number 3, how to cure writer's block. Once you're in the flow of writing, it seems unlikely that you will ever run out of energy. You're excited about your story and know exactly what you want to say, but then comes that inevitable day your mind draws a blank. It happens to all writers, whether you have written 1 book or 10. There's nothing wrong when you get writer's block. It simply means that you're human. Today, young grasshopper. I admire vintage works of art, what can I say? We're going to go over some tried and true methods for curing that inescapable, acute disease known as writer's block. I will also share 3 techniques I personally use which work well for me. Honestly, if you read up on any source about writer's block, most will tell you to flesh out that outline so you don't get stuck. Yes, that ever-ready outline. In truth, does an architect build without blueprints? Does a pianist learn notes without sheet music? I don't want to be confined by an outline. I can hear the objections from the pantsers already. Well, never fear, there are several other methods to combat that next sentence you cannot seem to get on paper. If you're writing about Martha discovering her would-be lover in the garden below, you know what happens next. She's going to find him and have a conversation with him. If you're unsure how the conversation will start, why not simply skip ahead? If you know how you want the scene to end to move the story along, but are missing the meat in the middle of the sandwich, skip it. If you're using a handy tool like Google Docs or Microsoft Word, you can simply add a comment on the side of your page. This lets you know that when you come back to that page, there's something you need to resolve before the chapter is complete. Simply come back to those points when inspiration hits you and fill out the rest. Clicking Resolve will make the comment disappear from the document. Simple, isn't it? Say you're using paid writer software such as Scrivener. Put in some special characters on a line that you need to go back to and fill out later. A simple special character insertion like the @ symbol will let you know that a section needs more text. Another tactic that works is writing in short bursts. While it can be good to set up certain times or time lengths or daily word count goals a day for you to write, sometimes you just don't have the time. Make time to write, outline, research every day, but you may feel stressed if you want to write for a full hour and can't. If you get home 2 hours before you have to go to bed, trying to cram a full hour of writing in that time can cause you to panic and get stuck. Alternate your writing style on days you know are time-constraining, such as certain days of your work or school week. I find writing in short bursts can help on stress-filled days. Write for 15 minutes and get an idea down. As long as you contribute something to your story on a planned writing day, you can rest easy knowing you are one step closer to creating your masterpiece. When you stop writing for the day, always have an idea of what your next paragraph is going to be. Then sleep on it. You'll be surprised how much your subconscious will focus on a story you are invested in. I've woken up the following morning after having a dream about my story. It was a great, effortless feeling that I could jot down and flush out when I got home from work that day. A final method you will find suggested is to leave incomplete thoughts. It will keep your mind active and ready to come back and finish the scene at your next writing session. It is a difficult thing for me to do. The method does work, but it eats away at my brain like an alien parasite. That is, however, the point. Sometimes you just have to save a thought for... Well, there you go. The great concept about all of these ideas is that you can try them all and choose what works for you. Not all of them will work the same with every writer. So experiment and see what best approach gets you out of your funk. I did mention earlier that I was going to go into detail about 3 methods that I use on a consistent basis that helps me with writer's block. The first method I use when I have the luxury of a day off and have no time constraints is the Brb Method. I will always choose be right back to my manuscript when I have the luxury of time. If I'm stuck, I will take a 30-minute break and utilize my brain to keep me alert and in a way that is calming. For example, when I'm stuck, I'll immediately leap out of my chair and go listen to half an hour of music. I prefer to listen to soundtracks when I'm writing and taking a break. I picture leitmotifs for every character and place I create in every story, and I will switch soundtracks around accordingly as I create. The second method that I consistently use is writing like a child. Children have such vivid imaginations and always have a story to share. While they can't often grasp the conception of clarification, they can tell that Spot is a dog. Guess what? Spot has a ball, and Spot likes to run. That's great. Write the story. You can fill in the subcutaneous layers in a later draft. As the writer, you don't need to know in that moment what Spot is wearing or what the weather is like. You know the end of the scene is Spot running to get his ball. Leave the filler for later and keep writing. Whatever comes to mind, write it down. Trim later. As I said earlier, your mind works faster than your hands or any text-to-speech software you may use to write. Getting your thoughts on the blank page in front of you is the most important step to avoid writer's block. Jody Pickle said, "You can't edit a blank page." So true. Lastly, my method for removing sustained writer's block is simply writing something else. I might take a day or two to outline a future project, which can lead to taking a few days off to work on a revision of something other than my novel. Keep in mind, this doesn't mean you need to start the daunting task of outlining a second full-fledged novel. Sometimes I write poetry or write lyrics to a song that I will record in the studio a week later. In this particular instance, I'm taking a break from my second book in the Whispers of Swords series, Kingsbane. Even though I have the entire book outlined by chapter and even have outlines for the 4 different story arcs in the book, I lost some steam after the weekend. The great thing is, I'm writing about something else entirely in the moment. I'm taking a break from the world building, creating characters, dialects, and cultures, and simply writing what I know. See what I did there? It's a wonderful change of pace for me. I'm not shelving my main story for long, just 3 days. The first day I outlined this piece and wrote the first half. The second day I finished the project. On the third day, I worked on my final draft and made revisions and corrections where necessary.